Hello everyone, I have a couple of cards featuring one of the new 3D embossing folders by Spellbinders, Beveled Diamonds. The large size of these folders makes them perfect for making 2-for-1 A2 size backgrounds. Quick and easy. Dry embossed backgrounds for these cards are going to be accented with heat embossing. Spellbinders has released a universal plate system that will accommodate anything from thin wafer dies right up to these 3D embossing folders. Though I don't have this system yet, I was able to figure out a sandwich that would work with my Gemini electric die cutter. I was able to get a nice result with the bottom cutting plate, followed by the folder, and then using the plastic shim on top. I've embossed ivory cardstock, and I'm just going to take my Versamark ink pad and rub it lightly on top. Or rather, I thought I was rubbing it lightly on top, but when I coated it with the gold embossing powder, I had way more coverage than what I wanted. I laid the panel on some paper towel, got out a paintbrush, and then started removing some of the embossing powder in the places that I did not want it. It's difficult to remove the powder cleanly, but I did want it more concentrated on that diamond detail. The rest of the embossing powder that I'm unable to remove completely will just lend itself to a more distressed look. I didn't spend a lot of time on this, and sometimes I think you just have to go for it and see what kind of result you get. And in the end, I liked what I got. The embossed cardstock was trimmed down to 2 card front size panels, 4 inches by 5¼ inches. I first cut the cardstock in half, and then as I trimmed it down to the card front size, I tried to ensure that the pattern was going to be the same left to right and top to bottom. Main elements for these cards come from 2 gorgeous sets, Stitched Glimmer Butterflies and Stitched for You. I'm going to start off by preparing my butterflies. So these are really cool sets because they have different inserts for the wings. After the die cutting is complete, blue for one card, pink for the other, some glimmer hot foil detail is going to be added to the center of the wings. Cutting foil can be a little bit tricky, I find. I'm using Spellbinders Quick Trimmer Set. This is an easy way to cut your foil to the exact size that you want it. The foiling will be done on the die cuts, and so I'm going to create a hinge with some purple tape, and I line up my die cut to the foil plate. The foil is slipped in between the die cut and the foil plate so that the shiny side is facing towards the foil plate. All of the butterfly wing inserts are then lined up on the hot glimmer machine. The plate and the shim are placed on top. I wait for the middle light to go solid green and then hit the timer button. When the flashing green light goes solid, then it's ready to go through the die cutter. And it can be a little bit of work releasing the platform from the machine, and I like to just wiggle it back and forth until it releases. Platform has been removed from the die cutting machine. The hot foiling platform is rolled through the die cutter slowly. I always roll it forwards and then back again. You may notice that I'm moving my hand to the front and back of the platform as it's rolled through. Don't want anything to shift and end up with some double foiled lines. I recently upgraded to the magnetic pickup tool. This is fast and easy to use. I love it. And there we go. All of these wing inserts have some beautiful foiling details. I'm going to begin by assembling the card with the pink elements. I'm using the large U sentiment from Stitched for You, which has been die cut from both pink cardstock and foam. The ivory A2 size card base is being matted with black cardstock. I then adhere the embossed panel. So there's so much dimension that sometimes they won't lay completely flat, so I pop my MISTI on top until the glue sets up. And while that's drying, I'm going to assemble my butterfly. I use just a little dot of glue to attach the upper wing to the lower one. After the body is adhered, the antenna die cut is a double, so I snip that in half. I wanted to secure the inserts for the wings, and so I added just a little bit of glue around the inside edge, just at the bottom of each insert. A friend of mine does diamond paintings, and she ends up with lots of these little tiny beads left over, which she passes some of them along to me. They come in handy for these small details like around the inside edge of the wing. So I'm adding just a little white crystal to each dot. A pretty detail that is easy to do as long as you have a jewel picker. The butterfly is going to be adhered to the card with foam strips. So that is going to be another opportunity to make sure that those wing inserts are nice and secure. I'm also going to add in a few florals, which I've borrowed from the typing class die set. Leaves were die cut from white glitter cardstock and the flowers from ivory, so I'm just edging those flowers with a little bit of gold embossing. The elements have been completed and they're laid out on the card, and I'm going to start adhering everything together. I begin by attaching that big sentiment U. Once the sentiment is in place, everything else gets tucked in around it. Because the sentiment is foam backed, it takes a while for the glue to dry, so I have time to slip in some of those sprays of leaves behind the letters. A couple of the leaves are modified so I can put a flower on them. Create a three-dimensional look. The butterfly has the foam on its wings, but I put glue on the body so that it will sweep upwards from that flourish on the Y. And I do the same thing with the flowers with a little bit of foam on the edge of the petals and glue at the base of the flower. The foiled secondary sentiment, especially 4, has been mounted on foam, cut into 2 words, and then adhered to the corner of the card. Spellbinders has introduced a new line of embellishments called Opalescent Color Essentials, and they are gorgeous. Pink confetti has been finished off with Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew to give them a jewel-like appearance. For the second card, which I think I referred to as blue, but really it is more teal in color, I begin by assembling the butterfly. The orientation for this card will be in portrait format, and I attach the embossed card front to the black matted top folding card base. Again, I use just a little bit of glue on the edges at the base of those inserts to hold them in place, and then I'm going to put some foam tape on each of the 4 sections of the wings. I'm using the same leafy spray from typing class that was used in the first card. It has been die cut from matte gold cardstock and both white and gold glitter paper. To get some variation in height, I do trim down some of the branches. Several of them are arranged across the bottom of the card, and then a spray of branches in the top right-hand corner. The foiled sentiment, again from the mini Everyday Sentiments set, has been done on the same cardstock as the butterfly, mounted on foam and then placed right across the bottom of those leafy branches. To give the butterfly a 3-dimensional look, I did give it a little bend in the center, added glue to the body. It has the foam on the tips, so it will sweep upwards from the body to the outside of the wings. Like the first card, the dot detail around the insert on the wing is going to be finished off with those tiny white crystals. For the final embellishment, I'm using Spellbinders Teal Opalescent Color Essential Sequins. This is a gorgeous sequin mix that is made up of different sizes of confetti. And standard practice for me, I finish off with the clear drying Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. That's a wrap on this pair of cards featuring one of the new 3D embossing folders by Spellbinders, Beveled Diamonds. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.